guys, welcome to another episode of Tampa Bay Real Producers Podcast. This, of course, is the podcast that is made for real producers, by real producers, and with none other than Tampa Bay's real producers, such as our guest today. We have Laura Varner. Nice to see you here today, Laura.
Thank you.
We actually just met in person for the first time, even though, as you guys can see, we have featured Laura as a rising star in one of our issues this year. This was actually our August issue for 2023. Where we had our team do an interview with you, put together our little spotlight, and it came out pretty well. I thought it came out good. So
I loved it.
I'm sure Rob can zoom in on the article and all that fun stuff later. But Laura, excited to dive into your story and how you became a top producer in the Tampa Bay market. So we'll kind of start there with just your background. Did you grow up in this market? If not, how you made your way to Tampa Bay, and what is it about real estate that got you interested at some point?
Okay, so I'm originally from Massachusetts, but I've been in Hernando County, Spring Hill, I think since like 1985, something like that. So I've been there for a long time. And I basically grew up there, went to middle school there, high school there, still there. I love the area.
It's a growing area too. A lot of new development and
it's growing
stuff going on up there.
To me, it's the perfect mix of having enough without the traffic and that type of stuff. It's a very conservative area. I'm just very happy there.
I live in Land O'Lakes, so I'm south of you, but I love that northern area too.
Yes, I do. I love it there. So that's basically, I've been there for a long time, know the area probably too well. And then as far as getting into real estate, I got my real estate license about 15 years ago, but never used it.
Okay.
I was married. I was a stay-at-home mom. I have 5 children.
We also have that in common. I have 5 kids too.
Okay.
Yes.
So you know. Yes. Mine are older. I have 3 adults and 2 children at this point, but I do have 5 children. And I went through a divorce when, probably 7 years ago, and I had never really worked before.
Okay.
I helped my husband with stuff, but I never had, I homeschooled my kids. So because of the circumstances of my ex-husband just wasn't in a financial situation to take care of me or the kids at that point. So I had 2 things to fall back on. I had a real estate license and I had a teaching degree.
Okay.
And I knew I can't support 5 children financially because they were like 16. My oldest was 16 at the time. So I was like, cars, college. So
the expenses don't get lighter as they get older, right?
They definitely don't. I just had 3 in college at the same time, which is a very expensive time. But I gave myself 6 months in real estate, and I said, I can either make it in real estate or I'm going to have to teach and just try to make ends meet somehow.
Yeah.
So I gave myself 6 months in real estate, and it's worked out really well for me.
It's turned into a little bit longer than that, huh?
Yes, it's worked out really well.
So what made you get your license initially?
And at that time, I was one of those where I had family that was buying and selling a lot of real estate, and I was just like, oh, let me do it. I didn't realize how difficult it was. And then I had 5 very young children at that time, and I was like, I want nothing to do with this.
Right.
I was, just barely.
But you kept your license the whole time.
Kept my license, and luckily I had it. It was the only thing that I had was that, and I really had to make it work. I had no choice.
Yeah. Well, they say a lot of times greatness comes from having that true motivation, right? So you obviously did make it work. Those of you who might not know Laura, and this is based on what we have as far as our records, but I think last year we saw over 30 million in volume, over 85 transactions as a solo agent. Is that correct?
Solo agent all by myself.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean those aren't typical numbers, right? From a solo agent. So Laura definitely hustled, and now, was that your best year ever?
That was my best year ever. But the year before, I think I was at 25 million. So it's been, I've done everything completely on my own, other than Shanley.
There you go. Shout out to Shanley over here. She's hanging out in the studio with us today, no doubt. So you had this obviously built-in intrinsic motivation to be able to provide for the family.
Yeah.
You gave yourself 6 months. At what point did you start to see, you know what, this is going to be better than maybe I thought? It exceeded your expectations? Was it right away, or did it take the full 6 months for you to be like, am I still going to make this?
Oh, it was a complete disaster. The first 6 months were a complete disaster because I was down and out. And my ex-husband had provided a nice life for us that we were used to. And I wanted to continue that. He was no longer able to do that. He would have if he could have, but he couldn't. So me and the kids were down and out. I mean, I was on food stamps. Like, it was a very difficult time. And then it's not easy to start in real estate. So, you know, I got fired from listings. At one point, I remember having like 8 deals under contract, and I was like, oh, I made it, you know, and 7 fell apart.
Wow.
Partially because I wasn't experienced enough, you know, to get through things. So the first 6 months were extremely difficult, but I made enough. I also had a second job, you know, so I had
in teaching or something else. Yeah,
I won't even tell you.
Okay.
I was doing like phone sales. It's embarrassing to even say what I was doing. Nothing weird, just like embarrassing. But I did that at night while my kids were sleeping, just to have a paycheck.
Yeah.
So it was a really difficult time in my life. But so there was never really a time, I don't think, where I was like, oh, I made it. It's just that everything I did was just kind of like taking care of the kids. And I think that eventually one day, I didn't even really care about the sales or anything like that. I just think like one day I was just like, okay, like we're comfortable. I'm taking care of, not only taking care of them, but, you know,
we're providing and thriving right now.
Providing for them, yeah.
What year was that? Do you remember your first full year?
I think my first full year was 2017. And I think I did about probably like 20 sales. My second year I did 20 sales.
Okay.
So it was a decent income.
Yeah.
You know, it was a good income. And I was kind of starting from scratch. And then it just, you know, it's just snowballed, really.
You always have been solo agent, or did you work with a team at first in any way, or did you just kind of get off and figure it out on your own?
I figured everything out on my own.
Yeah.
I just figured, I was just like reading everything I could, listening to podcasts. I was at a really great brokerage when I first started. It was 100% commission, which was good for me at the time. Mm-hmm. And they provided leads. They were great. They were really good to me, but they didn't really have training. It was 100% brokerage.
Yeah.
So I was completely on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you're now with Remax,
yes.
right? And so did you make that transition because you were looking for something different?
I made the transition because I really just outgrew the office that I was at. It was not really for like top producing agents. And I just knew in order for me to grow, I needed to be someplace. I needed a receptionist at the front desk, not a floor time agent. I needed an office. There were certain things that I needed that made no sense for them to provide with their model. So Remax, you know, I met with the office that I'm at now, and it just was a perfect fit.
It's Remax Alliance, right?
Yes.
Is that Lindsay?
Alliance.
Or Kendall, or
Peter Crowley is my broker.
Okay.
Yes.
Because we've done spotlights on, I believe Lindsay is with Remax Alliance. Am I wrong about that?
Yes. My office is a little bit smaller. There's other offices that are larger. I don't know a lot of the agents.
I gotcha. Yeah, no worries. Okay. That's, again, they're Lindsay and Kendall that I'm aware of are in like on 54 in that Pasco County area.
That is one of the main offices.
Yeah.
Yes,
I gotcha.
But I've never been there. Yeah.
So now you've, you've been in this game now, I guess, full time for what, 5 years? Is that a safe,
I'm about
fair
like
assumption?
my 7th year now. Mm-hmm.
And so how has your business and I guess life changed as you've been at this business now for 5 to 7 years? Do you feel like you're still, just as hungry as you were when you got started, 5 years ago? Yeah. Has anything else evolved that has made it different today versus then?
I mean, obviously, there's a lot less financial stress. Mm-hmm. There's no financial stress. So that's always nice. But no, I mean, I think I'm just naturally motivated because I'm still probably even more motivated than I was at the beginning.
What motivates you now if it's not money?
Just the success. Just I like, doing, I just enjoy it. I was slow the last 2 weeks because it's just the natural, and I was like depressed. And then as soon as I picked up again, I'm like, okay, there's just, I like it. I love my job. I love, getting to work in the morning and everything happening, and it's always exciting. So I love it. I love everything about it.
So it's interesting to me, Laura, because a lot of times we've had people on this show that when they're new, especially, they really talk about finding a mentor, getting involved in a team, trying to, you know, learn the ropes, I guess, from others, which I think has some logic to it, right? But you obviously didn't take that path, right? You figured a lot of things out on your own. I'm sure you made some mistakes, and we can talk about some of the challenges and stuff that you went through, but you've made it work, and you've been very successful, you know, really figuring it out, muscling it in some ways on your own. What are some, you know, best practices, I guess, that you think you might be able to share for an agent who could look at you and be like, I would want to do what she's done, right? She hasn't leaned on a team. She hasn't gone down that path. What are some things that you think really helped you and worked for you?
Well, interesting fact, I did interview with a team and they decided not to hire me. And now
you were too independent, probably.
I don't know, but now it's like I blow them away. So it's kind of just funny. But I think the key for me, well, the first thing, because I recently this year, I hired 2 buyer's agents. So I do have buyer's agents now, and they're both newer. And I think that my biggest thing with them is, you can't quit. There were so many times where I should have quit real estate, in the beginning. There were so many times, and I just didn't. So that's what I tell newer agents is you have to just keep going. I mean, there's so many times you're going to be disappointed. You're going to get I still get my feelings hurt, You have to just get a tough skin and brush it off and let it go. So that, and then I think the key for me, I'm in the office every day. I get there at 7:00 in the morning. I'm working every single day. Like we have really not had a lot to do the last 2 weeks, but we were there every day working, doing something.
So you treat it like it's a job rather than a hobby. That's a big step too. Like actually going to the office daily, getting that habit built. That's not something that a lot of agents do, I don't think, especially when they're newer.
Right. And everybody's different. I like to work from the office. I think I'm more productive at the office. But wherever you're working from, having set work hours, I don't care what I'm doing unless I take off to do something with my kids.
Yep.
I am working every day, whether there's work to be done or not. I'm finding something. I'll sit there and handwrite notes to neighbors, anything, just I think that's the key is you have to just consistently be working.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. You've done some great volume. What are some of your favorite ways to build your business? Like what in terms of prospecting? Has it been all referral based, network oriented? Did you invest in leads at any point? What are some strategies that have really helped you get the volume that you produce? I
think it's not just 1 or 2 things. It's consistently doing 10 to 15 things that are going to bring. I still do open houses. I just went on a listing appointment last night. They came to my open house a month ago and then just hired me to list their house, so I'm doing open houses. I still buy leads, you can still consistently close deals. There's nothing wrong with buying leads.
Sure.
It's a great way to get business.
Zillow or others?
I buy Zillow leads. Yeah. Not a lot, but enough. I mean, if I close 2 or 3 of those a year, it adds. Yep. I do get a ton of repeat and referral business. I work a lot with investors. I flip houses. I just, that section of real estate has just, for whatever reason, I work really well with investors. So I work heavily in that part of real estate. I have certain areas. House
flipping or like rental, like long-term rental investors?
Flipping. I work with a lot of flippers, and I flip property too. And then, I farm certain areas. So I just do, social media. Of course, I just try to do as many things as I can. There's not 1 or 2 ways.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
It's cool too, because there's so many different ways to be successful, right? And I think there are people that we've interviewed where they have their way, like it's a specific strategy that they focus in on and they crush it in that 1 or 2 things. And that's one way to do well, right? But what you just described is like you have like a cornucopia of different strategies that you're kind of combining together to still be very successful. Yeah. And I think some people can struggle with that approach because it's almost like they get too scattered, right? Rather than actually getting good at something. Yeah. But it doesn't seem like that's been a case for you, which I find fascinating. Is there a certain, like if you had to put your opinion on working with investors, let's say, versus working with the traditional mom and pop retail buyer seller, do you prefer one or the other? Does it matter to you either way?
I really don't. I really like getting to know my customers. I usually, remain friendly with them. So that's like one part of real estate that I love, is getting to know people and that portion of it. But the nice thing with investors is the investors that I'm working with now, I have a great relationship with. They're easy to work with because they know how I work. I know how they work. And as long as I perform for them, they're going to consistently send me business.
Yeah.
And if I see a great deal come up in MLS and I know that there's potential, how easy for me, I can easily sell that to an investor.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So
smart.
It's a great way. If you understand, and the one thing is, you have to be truthful with them. Like if they come to me with a property, if I don't think it's going to work, I'm not going to tell them to buy it.
Sure.
I would rather refuse that commission than get into a situation where I lose them, because in the long run, they're worth a lot more than one commission to me.
Yeah. It's got to have enough skin in the game for it to make sense, right?
Yeah.
For an investor perspective. And then
Right.
obviously if it's not an investor type deal, then you have the other pool
Right.
of your buyers and sellers that might make more sense for, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I get that. What in your years now, what do you think has been the most rewarding part of growing the business the way that you have? What do you enjoy most about it?
I enjoy the day. I complain about it, but I enjoy the day-to-day hustle. I really do. You never know what you're going into in the morning. You could get called to a listing appointment. You could get offers. It's just exciting every day. So I think, I don't know, it's tough. It's difficult to say. The most rewarding thing, I look back at the past 5 years, 7 years of like just my life, of where I started and where I am now. And it's really crazy to think about it.
And what's crazy too, is you mentioned earlier that you should have quit, right? Or at least thought of quitting multiple times. And there's a quote that I like out there that talks about, I'm going to butcher it, but it's basically don't quit when you're at the 1 yard line, right? It's like, right, you're right about to see what you came here for and to win the battle. And so many people, that's when they don't see that success is so close.
Yes.
And they don't take that next step. But what do you think it was that when you were in those moments of really doubt and believing that it might be time to do something else or stepping away, was there something that you can look back on now and say, that it was because of this that I decided not to, or that maybe it's just a trait or a characteristic that you feel like helped you get through those times? Anything come to mind?
I don't know. Honestly, I look back at those times because they were really difficult, and I guess it was just, I knew where my kids were and I knew how expensive things were going to be. And I was just so determined to take care of them financially.
Yeah, that's a huge why right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a book, Simon, what's his last name, Rob? Simon something? Simon, I forget his last name. He has a book though called It Begins with Why, right? It's all about finding that why, and I think your family can be a big factor for that. I know it is for me too.
Yes, definitely. Just wanting to provide things for my kids that I felt like they deserved, and I wanted to be able to give it to them.
Any of them want to follow your footsteps in real estate?
I don't know. I have my oldest just graduated from Florida State, and she's kind of trying to figure her life out.
Nice.
She's mentioned it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
No rush, right?
Yeah.
You didn't know even yourself for a little while.
They aren't really as impressed with me as other people are.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Usually kids aren't, right?
Yeah, they don't find anything that I do impressive. So.
When you think about the rest, like I guess we're now coming up at the close of 2023. We're looking forward, I'm assuming, setting goals for 2024 and what next year and beyond is going to look like. What are some things that kind of get you excited, Laura, when you look forward in 2024 and beyond? What resonates with you?
I think we've come up with a lot of new things that we've worked on over the past, I think, like 6 months that we're implementing for 2024. And I'm hopeful that it's going to bring me more business. So I'm wanting to increase my annual sales, of course. I think that's everybody's goal. I have my 2 buyer's agents that I'm really excited about. One of them is a young mom. She has 3 young children. So obviously I connect with her there, and I really want her to be successful. Not if it's not at my level. Everybody has their own goal.
No doubt. Yeah.
I want her to reach her goals. And then I have a new buyer's agent that I just hired, and she's a single mom of 4. So of course, I really want both of them. That's something that I'm working on right now, is helping both of them. And I
You're going to have a team of powerhouse moms here soon, huh?
It was something I never wanted. And then now that I'm doing it, I'm like, I actually kind of like it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was going to ask you more about that. So it is a different business, right? Once you start recruiting and developing a team and going down that path.
Yes.
What was it that kind of got you interested in maybe starting to do that?
Actually, Heather, my buyers, I never wanted to do it ever. People have came to me and asked me, and I was just like, no. And then Heather, my first buyer's agent, I sold her a house years ago, and we became friends. And then she got her license, and she asked me for advice. She ended up getting herself into a bad situation, and then she came back to me and basically begged me, and I took her on, and I just found that I enjoyed it. I enjoy helping her, and she'll even text me, and I connect with her because she's like, you know, if it weren't for you, I would have quit real estate. And I don't want anybody to quit real estate. Yeah. You know, it's a great job, especially for moms, because we have things that we have to deal with that dads don't necessarily have to. Because I mean, honestly, most moms, we're doing the doctor's appointments, the orthodontist, the dentist, all that stuff. So you have to have a flexible schedule. So I think it's just a great job for a mom because I work my schedule. I put my kids' appointments in my schedule and I work around that.
It's awesome. And I think it's pretty inspiring too for a lot of women who want to maybe know that they want to be financially independent, right? They want to figure out a way to be able to do that, but I think it's hard for many of them to really see the vision, you know, that they can do it while still being a great mom at home. I don't think that's an easy thing for people to even visualize first. And if you can't picture it, then it's really hard to execute it, right?
Yes.
So, you know, you're not obviously the only woman who does that successfully here in Tampa Bay, but when you can have more and more people like you that have made it work and proven that you can do both and still prioritize, I'm sure family is really, really important to you and spend that time, but still be very successful. I have to believe there's going to be a lot of other moms knocking on your door that want to work with you.
I hope so. I mean, I really enjoyed helping them. It's been rewarding to see.
So when you look forward, do you want to keep growing the team? Is that part of the goals?
I'm at this point, I'm not interested. You know, there's people that have these mega teams and they're constantly recruiting and that's not really, if I can't really help somebody the way that, you know, I want to help them, I don't want them on my team.
Gotcha.
Right now, I only have time to help Heather and Janine, and that's it. So right now I'm maxed out. If I get them up and running and they're at, you know, performing at the level that they want to be at and I think that they should be at, then maybe I would be open to more. But right now, I can't take on anymore.
Especially when you're doing 85 transactions a year yourself. That's not the easiest thing to do, to find out how to support them as well. Right. So I can respect that, no doubt.
Yeah.
So for people who might not know you that well yet, even on the personal side, Laura, I know you mentioned your kids already a couple times.
Yes.
So your oldest daughter just graduated college, you said. You have 4 others that are young, boys and girls?
So I have a 22-year-old that just graduated from Florida State. I have a 20-year-old, actually he's going to be 21 next month, at Florida State. He's a junior.
Got a Seminole family, huh?
Yes, we are a Seminole family. And then I have a 19-year-old who hated college. He's working at Publix, absolutely loves it. And then I have girls that live with me that are 16 and 11.
So you have a full house for sure.
Yes.
My oldest is only 9 years old, so we have 5 that are 9 and under in our house.
I've been there. I think I was like I had 11. I've been there.
All pretty close.
Yes.
Yeah. And my wife actually is a stay-at-home mom too, and we're homeschooling. So there's a lot that I could relate to your story there.
Been there, done that. Yes.
Through what my wife is going through right now. Yeah.
Yes, it's a very. I mean, that probably prepared me very well for real estate because that was a very difficult job.
Definitely prepares you in terms of patience.
Yeah,
one would think.
That was tough. It was rewarding, but it was such a tough time.
What do you guys love to do for fun? What keeps your family fired up now?
I mean, I live in Hernando Beach, which I love my community. We're right on the water, so of course, a lot of everything to do with being on the water. It's just such a great little place that I live in. You can bike ride, we walk a lot, have golf carts, you know, do that kind of, we take the golf cart for ice cream, stuff like that. So I guess just like hanging around our neighborhood, I have great neighbors. That's kind of like how we spend our family time right now.
Cool. You guys like to travel at all or? Not as much.
You know,
Tough with
traveling
business, huh?
with 5 children is difficult, so
Yeah.
I kind of got out of that. I'm recently engaged. I've been traveling with my fiance, just
Nice.
the 2 of us, so that's been fun, leaving the kids at home.
Is he in real estate?
No, he's not in real estate, no.
I wanted to get away from that whole space, huh?
Yeah.
Give you a little break
Yeah.
from the business side. So a couple rapid fire just questions on for people to get to know you a little bit more. Do you have like a favorite book or author or seminar that you feel like has made an impact on you personally or professionally?
I don't know about making an impact. I read a lot, so it's difficult to say one that has had an impact. But if you had to ask me my favorite real estate book, it would be The Millionaire Agent.
Okay.
I started reading that before I even understood what they were talking about. I would read it and I would be like, what is this? What does he mean? But I read it. I just am always reading that book.
Yeah.
And as the years have
A lot
gone
of
on,
good principles in that
yes,
book. Yeah.
I understand more every time I read it because so that's my number one. That's what I told, I have Heather and Janine reading that book. You know, that's my favorite.
Yeah, we've had a couple other people bring up the same book too on the podcast. It makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Have you ever met Gary Keller?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. We've had a couple different KW agents that are in some of his mastermind groups that travel to Texas and join his groups every now and again. So he's definitely built something special, it seems like, with how he's done all that. Yes. Do you have a favorite TV show or movie?
I don't watch TV. When I got engaged, he put a TV in my room. I never had one.
So, like, you got to relax sometimes, Laura.
Yeah, I just...
binge with me, will you?
Oh, my gosh. What would I even say my favorite TV show is?
We could skip it.
Yeah,
if you
skip
don't
that
It's
one.
all good.
Skip
Favorite
that.
food?
Sushi.
Yeah, sushi gal.
Yeah.
I'm a sushi fan myself.
Yes.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, no.
So, are there any particular organizations that you're passionate about that maybe you even tie it into your business somehow, or just personally that you'd like to throw a little shout out to?
So my charity work has been my kids that's been my main focus for the past, 5 years. But now I'm to a point where
It's a good cause.
but now I'm to a point where I do want to start to, get involved and support people financially. And I think like for whatever reason, animal shelters just pull at my heart.
Sure.
So I think that's something that I'm looking forward to getting involved in next year.
Yeah. We actually did a spotlight on a couple different, I don't know if you've seen in the magazine, but we do a Making a Difference section every month, which is designed to take some nonprofit and just, tell the story a little bit more and get that out there. And there's been a few different episodes or issues now that we've done pet shelter features and different, chapters that are affiliated with animals.
Yeah.
So if you ever are looking for ones, you can find some ideas in there for sure. One of the things that I always find fascinating, Laura, is thinking about, it's easy for us in the hustle and the bustle to just get so caught up in work. And at some point, we'll probably sit on that rocking chair and take a step back and think about what is most important for us to be remembered by, right?
Yeah.
And what our legacy is in our family, in our business, in our community. If you had to think about what do you think would be most important to you in terms of a legacy or what you'd want to be remembered by when you're maybe done in the business one day, what do you think some things that come to mind that you think would matter to you?
This is probably not the most politically correct answer to it, but I'm just going to be
That's
honest.
What's the way we flow here. It's
I
all
don't
good.
really care what other people think about me at the end of the day. I really don't. The only opinions that matter are within my own home. So I want it would mean so much more to me to have one of my children be like, oh, she was a great mom. She did I could cry. She did so much for us. That's all I care about.
Yeah, well, that's a legacy right there, isn't it? Especially when you have 5 kids. I mean, you are your family is a legacy. It's a big part of your community.
Yeah.
And I could tell from your emotion that that's probably something that they probably already believe, even if they don't tell you that all the time.
I don't know if we're there yet, but we'll get there. I hope. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm still kind of like the mean mom at this point, but we'll get there.
Well, sometimes you have to be that too, right?
Yeah.
No doubt. They get along well with your fiance? Everything's cool?
Yeah, he's wonderful to them. It's just been so good for our family.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Happy for you.
Thank you.
And so we're going to come to a close with a couple final things. So if someone wanted to reach out to you, Laura, especially I think, again, you're, for lack of a better word, your inspiration as a single mom there for a while and how you motivated yourself to be successful in the business is unique. And I think it could be very attractive and appealing to a lot of women, especially out there, who maybe find themselves in a similar situation and would love to just pick your brain a little bit more on how you dealt with certain things. A lot of that probably could have been just balancing your schedule and figuring out how you made all that work. Which we probably could talk another 20 minutes on just that, right? Alone on the scheduling part.
Yeah.
But what would be a great way for someone to connect with you, Laura, if they want to reach out to you and chat with you? What's the best way to reach you?
You can email me. My easiest email is laura@lauravarner.com. That's easy to remember. You know, you can find my phone number pretty much anywhere. But no, I mean,
don't find the wrong one like I have, but it's all good.
I'm open to anybody like calling me because it is such a mental struggle, you know, and it's just, you've got to, it's all about the mindset that you have, you know, when you're in a difficult place, like you just have to understand that it can change, like it's temporary. Yeah. So
that's a good point.
I mean, anybody that I could help, I would love to.
Very cool. Well, you'll see Laura on our, if you check out one of our issues back in August of this year, you'll read her article in there. And of course, this podcast episode will be on our YouTube channel, up on our Facebook page as well, where you can check it out and reach out to Laura if you wanted to pick her brain a little bit more. But I think we'll have to have you on again, you know, sometime to maybe spend more time on the actual balance of the schedule and how all of that worked as a mom to make it happen. But we're going to end the episode the way we do every episode, which is with a challenge. And so if you took the time to watch the episode, I would encourage you to pick one thing from this conversation with Laura that can help you move yourself forward professionally or personally so that this time was worth it. If you don't take that action step, most likely you're going to forget a lot of the things that we discussed. So maybe it's tapping into one of the strategies that Laura threw out there, because she shared open houses, she shared leads, you know, she talked about the importance of working with investors in her business anyway. She has multiple different ways that she's created business while, of course, still having a balanced schedule so that she can be there as a mom for her family. And so maybe there's just some follow-up questions that you need to look into to ask Laura or someone else in your life that can help you with your calendar and your schedule and figure out how to balance those things. Maybe you need to pick her brain a little bit on team building, because she seems to be starting that process right now, or maybe you're somebody who just would like to possibly even work with Laura. Who knows? But if you want to just reach out to her, you have that contact information to do so. But take one action step from this conversation that's going to help you move forward. And if you do that, then it would be worth your time that you invested in watching this episode. So we'll see you on the next episode of Tampa Bay Real Producers. Stay classy. See you then.